I know I'm reading some bad stuff, but it doesn't really make me a communist, does it? You know?
Look, it shows you what you really are like, my friend. You're going to try to take over the world. You're going
I
to
I'm
set up
not.
an authoritarian process, and
Yeah.
then you're going to build a gulag and murder tens of thousands of people. Geez, I never thought it was anything like you there.
Yeah, but you see, I consider having, you know, again, one of the troubles. Well, actually, okay, this particular book, and compared to Mein Kampf, I find it hard to read. I've read it a couple of times. I find it hard to read every time I have picked it up. Um, but because the large part about finding it hard to read is because Marx is actually a very complex writer, right? He writes in a German style that is a century and a half old, so that in itself is problematic. And when that's translated by somebody a century and a half ago into English, you
Yeah,
know.
I wasn't aware of his style. Uh, I knew he's essentially an economist,
Yes,
basically,
yes, absolutely. Yeah,
and he sees how things have developed, which is fairly accurate. But what is inaccurate is how he thinks things will continue to develop. He didn't count on strong trade unions and workers' rights and things of that kind. So I don't know.
yeah. All right. Gary's basically saying a huge call out to the Niagara Regional Police in Fort Erie for helping save somebody's life. It's
Yes, he did.
not often we hear that one. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, important.
Yes, I was going to. You know what? I was going to say something yesterday, but I didn't have Gary's permission, and I was very pleased that he said that it's a harrowing story. I told it to people at my Toastmaster meeting on Wednesday night after he told me it. So heads up, Gary. Something always happens when Gary's around, but in this particular case, it's a good thing that Gary was around because he saved someone's life. And
Yeah,
hats off to Gary.
yeah. All right. So let's very quickly deal with that. Okay, so the regional chair of Mein Kampf. Let's deal with that particular controversy. I'm sure we can do that in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
I actually think, I actually think that the whole point, the Gale resignation is is wrong. I've had this discussion with a few people. I think the Gale resignation was wrong. If you have disagreements about Bob Gale and his proposals for regional change, ha, raise those proposals. Don't be a coward and get behind a book. You know, should he have bought the book back in 2011? Well, that's a very different question. We don't know what's in his mind. Do you believe
Look,
he's a racist? You know,
I'll put it this way: if Bob Gale had bought the book, joined the Nazi Party, and bought all kinds of other Nazi historical things, or like he had a huge Nazi thing, and
yeah,
he had recordings of Hitler and all that other stuff. That could mean two different things: either he was fascinated by the time period, or he was he admired the Nazis. But given the historical other pieces of information he has as part of his collection, it's very clear that he's a collector, a historical
yeah,
collector.
yeah, yeah.
And to tell you the truth, I would have bought the book myself if I would never have money to do that. But
I wouldn't have spent $6,000 on it, which is allegedly what he spent. But
no, but if I came across it in a bookstore, I might buy it and turn it over to a museum if it was a signed copy. But like I said before, there's zillions of copies of Mein
Yeah.
Kampf. You can
Well,
find them. You used to be able to find them in the public library. I'm not sure you can now, but like I said, I got it out of the public library, and that is because people nowadays do not believe in intellectual freedom. The left and the right will censor what you want to read. You see what's happening
yeah.
in the States now. They're imposing religious stuff into schools. They've taken other stuff out. The left did the same thing. They started to censor what could be said and what couldn't be said in universities and so on.
Yeah.
So we got to get rid of the
Gary's
idealistic
basically saying, he's saying what we're saying. The Bob Gale issue has nothing to do with the book, 100%. It's all about his proposals for change at the regional council. And if you
I think it's got more to do that. I certainly no, I don't. Unfortunately, this is unfortunately the fact that, like, he didn't hide the fact that he had the book, but it comes out, and this is something he didn't hide. But of course, they're going to make the biggest deal possible out of him.
Yeah.
They're going to slur his family and slur him upside down and backwards. And I think that may be the real reason why Bob Gale dropped out, is because he does not want this tsunami of hate coming his way.
No, yeah.
And he doesn't want to give his opponents any excuses to go after him. Look what Laura Ip said. She was just a complete imbecile when she talked about it. Like she feels that because he had that book is an indication of what he's truly like inside. You know, that is a comment of complete ignorance or even political expediency to get rid of a political opponent. That was a comment of extreme ignorance, if you ask me. And so I think he sees more of that coming. He may re-enter the politics a little later when this is calmed down and everybody realizes this historical document. But this will also give ammunition to Doug Ford's enemies. Look what you did. You put a Nazi in charge in Niagara region. You know what I mean? You know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to go total freak out on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Laura, basically, just to say, she said her comments were, let me assure you that he would not have resigned, more likely instructed to resign if this was not considered a very big deal for those who appointed him.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because the people who appointed him knows they wouldn't be able to control the issue going forward, because his political enemies can just really super exaggerate what's going on, and it's already happening in the popular mind. When you read Facebook and stuff like that, you see, well, he must be something like that. That's going to change his mind. You know what I mean? Who's gonna, seriously? Are you gonna read Stalin and then suddenly, what if you read Stalin? Stalin's got books out. What if you read Mao? If you read Mao, are you going to be a communist?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The guy, the person who complained about this, Wazir Rudin, his name was. It was a communist.
Salah Waziruddin, yes, it was a communist.
Waziruddin, he's a communist. He was in the party, but he's still a communist. Is he going to answer for Stalin? Is he going to answer for Mao? Do you know that Mao was a communist and he killed 15 million people? Are we going to get Waziristan and make him say, you are a follower of a political movement that's still alive, that caused the murder of millions and millions of people in the Soviet Union and China?
Yeah, but again, people who believe in communism here in Canada today don't necessarily agree with what happened under Stalin's regime or under Mao's regime.
Well, the fact is, they have that is the same party that did the same thing, and they have no answers for it. And I could
I'm
do
just
the
saying.
same thing. I could do the same thing to this guy that
Yeah.
he's a communist, and his party is the party that caused the brutal murder of millions of people in various different communist countries, states all around the world.
Yeah.
And what about Spain? Spain was a fascist country until 1975. You know, we're not taking
Yeah.
anything that Franco was written or anything like that. So the conception is this black and white world we live in. If you're a leftist, you're a Stalinist. If you buy a book, you must be corrupted by that book. What if Bob Gill had the Gutenberg Bible? Is he then going to be criticized of being a religious fanatic?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think we can move on from this. We know it's going to come back next week. All right.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I would just like to repeat that was Zurarudin, whatever, I can't even pronounce his name right. Waziruddin.
Salah Waziruddin.
Like he complains, and he's a communist. He's part of the Communist Party, and we do know what the Communist Party has done, right?
Yeah.
We do know the legacy of the Communist Party all over the world, and it's to be death, murder, and destruction. Is he going to answer for that? Why does he have his position when he's a person that abides by a party that has generated that kind of misery all over the world?
It's a fair question, but it is also fair to say that probably the majority of communists in Canada don't defend that kind of stuff either.
Sure, okay, you could say that about the fascist party too. Were you going to say that about the fascist party?
Yeah, it's true.
Look, the fascists ruled Spain.
Yeah.
The fascists ruled Spain peacefully for 40 years, 50 years. 50 years. So it would be about 40 years. So the fascists ruled Spain peacefully for 40 years. Are you going to say that the fascist party's okay?
Yeah.
So and Mussolini and Hitler were both fascists. So let's not include Spain then. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the fascists ruled Spain until 1974.
5. I was there in 74, and they're still running the show.
Oh, okay, 75. Another 74, 75 jump over. All right. Anyway. Okay. The real question is why, says Rick.
The real question is why. Yeah, that's. I think as soon as you put Hitler, as soon as you put Mein Kampf, I think that is probably going to be impossible for them to explain away, because I don't know, it's kind of like I don't know, it would be hard to do that. It gives their political enemies way too much power over you, because they have this ammunition. They know they can use it. They know they can exaggerate it. So unfortunately, in order to save embarrassment, he was appointed. I'll have to say that, and it was rightly pointed out that he was probably told by someone, "You better get out of there." We can't.
Yeah.
This one was too hard to smooth over. There's too much ignorance out there about historical books and things of that kind. It would take too long to explain it away. So I think what they said, get out of there. And I do think he probably had a real issue. He's worried about his family being smeared by this.
And Gary's basically saying, I dare any of them to pick up the book, The Fountainhead, then talk to me.
Yeah. The Fountainhead. Which is that book?
And Paul says Bob's a collector. He's possibly never even read the book.
The left-wing kooks are alive and well. Well, I don't care if you're from the right or from the left. There's an unfortunate tendency. The farther left you go, the more censorial you go, the more you want to censor things. We see this in the States right now. The farther right the country goes, the more they want to censor literature, exclude or include what they want in the libraries, instead of leaving it wide open and free. When I talked to the libraries here, librarians here, they said they said if you walk in the library, you're sure to be able to find many things that are offensive to you. But we believe in intellectual freedom. I'm afraid that intellectual freedom is going to be whoever is running the show. If it's if it's a far left party, they're going to censor what they think that should be censored. If you get a right wing party in, they're going to censor what they want, they think is because that's what's happening. And the rest of us centrists got to raise the middle finger to both ends of that spectrum. Get out of here. Don't cram up my freedoms. Go away.
Gary basically says Fountainhead is a book by Ayn Rand.
Oh yes, that's where I recognize from it. I read a couple of works by Ayn Rand, but I can't remember the titles of them.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Right. The other comment that I've got from Ricky Pizzacala is, did they have a standing ovation clapping on the hill with a Nazi? The Ukrainian guy a couple of years ago. Remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That just shows you the ignorance we have of history here.
Yeah.
That is the Canadian government brings in a former Waffen SS soldier and applauds him as a fighter of freedom.
Yeah.
God. And then nobody picks up on that.
Yeah. You know? And Dave, you just got to put your Karl Marx book down, you know? Stop reading him.
Look, there's a lot of people. Like I've got the 3 books by Gaddafi. I got Gaddafi's the green books they're called. I got all 3. They're little books.
Don't know anything about
so
it.
Are you gonna call me a dictator, a dictatorship, Islamic dictatorship type dude because I've got them?
Clearly,
the reason why I bought them, I mean, they are very controversial books, but the reason why I bought them is I was in Libya. You could only buy them there, and then one day they would be historically significant. Maybe, it's interesting to read them. I mean, it's wacky, but it's interesting to read them.
Yep. Okay. All right. Okay. Moving ahead. Hamilton is going to change Main Street between Dundurn Street and Gage Street to a two-way situation. So this is going to start in June. They're going to make the final decision about this in June, the council meeting, but they're moving ahead with the plans to make two-way on Main. So that's going to basically mean that we've got big changes going in Hamilton. Traffic's going to be a nightmare for years.
Well, Hamilton.
And because
I kind of liked Hamilton the way it was run with the one-way streets. I lived because it was a long time ago. I mean, I lived there in the late 70s for a couple of months, and once you get to know the city, you get around lickety split here and there everywhere.
Yeah.
You could get from one end of the city to the other end if you timed your lights right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
So if you timed your green lights, all the green lights would come on at synced with the previous one. So you could start at one end and hit the green lights all the way down to the other end of the city.
But what they've been complaining about is because you've got 4 lanes of traffic. Basically, there's been a number of deaths over the last few years because people are going way too fast. So they're going massively above the 50 kilometer an hour speed limit, doing 60, 70, even 80 down that street.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why they're changing this.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So,
but they had 11 people killed. That's the main reason there.
Yeah.
They had 11 people killed over the space of I don't know how many years there. But anytime you have something like that going. But like I said, when when I lived there, if you get the timing right,
Yeah.
right,
Oh, yeah. I know.
you drove in those days it was right after the metric conversion. So, but it was still like 30 miles an hour. So if you were at a green light, if you're at a red light and it turned green, and you drove 30 miles an hour, got up to 30 miles an hour, then you would hit
It's
every
still the
green light
case.
along the way.
Yeah.
But if you went faster than that, you'd have to slow down and wait for the red
Yeah.
light. If you went slower, you'd have to wait for the red light.
Again, and again, that's still the case. I've done many trips down King Street and Main Street, whereby you keep up with the traffic, and you get maybe 15 lights before it changes to red. And that's that's a good way to go down. So it's a good situation. Mike is saying there's strong winds today. Watch out. Not seeing any sign of strong winds out there. Look at the trees outside. Don't see any. But
well, if I go for a walk, I'll tie my baseball cap on.
Yeah. Okay. So just wanted to quickly cover that Hamilton situation. Okay. So moving on. There's going to be a massive release of oil, emergency oil reserves by 32 countries because of the hike in fuel prices in the recent days.
Well, hats off to the world for putting oil out there and trying to relieve the cost on the ordinary person as much as possible. They're releasing 400 million barrels, which is more than twice the amount that they have at the most they've ever released before. They've released, I think, 4 times since 1970s when they started it. They started it because OPEC held the world at hostage with oil.
You mean you don't mean OPEC, you mean OPEC.
OPEC.
Yeah.
OPEC. Yeah. Did I say OPEC?
You did. It must have been a slip of the tongue, Dave. I knew what you meant.
I do stuff like that.
But it's okay. It's okay. We move on. OPEC, yeah.
So yeah. OPEC held the world when there was OPEC really didn't like what was going on in the Middle East at the time, and they were able to sort of put a stranglehold on oil throughout the world. In order for that not to happen again, the emergency, the agency there made sure that just about everybody had reserves of oil, and that oil then could be released on the market anytime there was an interruption in oil. Right. Also, somebody said here that Trump lifted the sanctions on Russian oil. Yeah. God. So Putin's going to be really wealthy now and able to wage war more than ever before. Oh, that's great. So, but anyway, aside from that, they're getting oil back out there. And this will relieve things for a while. It's 400 million barrels, which is more than twice as much that was released during Putin's war against Ukraine, which caused oil to go up in price. It didn't stop the flow of oil. It stopped it from going up in price, basically.
Yeah.
So,
but of course, what is stopping the flow of oil right now is Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps is stopping all oil passing the Straits of Hormuz.
Yeah, I don't understand why Trump and Bibi didn't have a plan for this. Bibi pushed him into it rather quickly, so I don't think they planned a lot of stuff very well, extraordinarily well. You can see the military operations. It really is like an elephant stomping on a mouse. You know, the little mouse will bite the toes once in a while, but there is one thing that is the Strait of Hormuz. Iran can cripple the world's economy, and they've already taken out a U.S. oil bulk carrier, and I don't see Trump saying anything about that right yet. I don't know if they have a plan to take over the Straits of Hormuz. They have yet not taken in escorts through there. And this is one way in which the rest of the world is going to get involved in there, because sooner or later the world's going to need that oil, and that's not going to be long from now, 3 weeks maybe. And then you're going to get the Brits, the French, and everybody else escorting tankers through there, and not just the Americans. And they're going to be forced to do that, because if the Americans can't do it, they're going to have to help them do it, to keep them open. I don't know if the U.S. or Israel has any plan in which to keep that Strait of Hormuz open. Trump says, get us, show some guts and sail through there. So a couple of ships did, and they got hit. And some sailors have lost their lives. And so that's out of the question. I mean, the insurance companies reversed their decision to demand that the ships do not traverse the area when Trump said that he would back them up. However, I don't think it's working, because they did release the responsibility of the ships from the insurance, with Trump saying that they would back it up, but the ships were getting hit. So I don't really see anything happening here for a very long time. They are degrading the abilities of the Iranian military in many ways, but Iran has been waiting for an invasion for 47 years. They've been preparing for an invasion for 47 years. They have an army. They have armed groups that add up to 1 million men, and on the different sections of their military. They have 1 million people, and each one, and there's 4 different command structures for it. So if one breaks down, they can still self-command. And a lot of these missiles that have been shot out from Iran, they aren't in communication with the other Iranians, but they do have their instructions that was given to them previously. So all they're doing, that for one could explain why they hit the Turkish target, but that was probably very much an accident, and that was probably because some missile commander had his job, and so the thing here is, we don't know when this is going to end, and you have an extremist government. These 1 million men who are armed in Iran have been ideologically converted. Think of the Nazis, right? Yeah. The Nazis, look, they didn't give up even when they were surrounded around Berlin. They kept fighting. They kept fighting and fighting and fighting. And the people did not come out on the streets, and they did not try to overturn the Nazis, right even to the very end, because they would have been shot dead. And that's what they don't see here. Oh, here, we're going to bomb the place for you. Now take it over. Yeah, you're going to get the people. Some estimates say there were 32,000 people killed the last time around. None of that's being really confirmed. The only real confirmation is they know at least 7,000 were murdered by the regime. 7,000 is a lot, and it was probably closer to 30,000, but there's no direct proof to say that as yet. We do know the jails are probably full too. But the fact of the matter is, the people were out, they were complaining, they were mad. They've done that a few times. When that one Kurdish young woman did not wear her hijab right, and she ended up dead, right? They were out on the streets too. So what happens when you get these people who are Nazis, or in this particular case, people with religious ideology that is bent and twisted their mind, and they think it's a good idea to go shoot these people?
Well, the thing about this is that in order to stop this shooting, they're really going to have to get boots on the ground to take out these command posts. These local, command posts where they're firing the weapons from.
Yeah, and even if, let's say if they do take over the country, then it's going to be a long process of de-Islamification kind of thing, kind of like denazification happened in Germany. They did the denazification after they beat the Germans. They went through that process. That is going to be very difficult because there's 92 million people there in Iran. different sectarian problems. You got the Kurds, the Azeris, right? You got the Lurds, and you got an Arab population there. They even got a small black population from the ancient days of slavery in Iran. So it's a diverse country, but the main core of it are Persians, which are the Farsi-speaking people.
Yeah. But there's many minorities that, for example, the Persians, when the Persians took over that land, there's many minorities that the Persians obliterated.
Well, you're looking at the Persians took that over around 600 BC, right? So you know what I mean.
There's been a lot of but there's been a lot of movement. Modern Iran, places like, there's a place called I've forgotten the name now.
Yeah, I know it. I know that one.
There's a place in southeast Iran that would have been basically up to about 400 years ago would have been Balochistan, and those people migrated from there, got out of there during an attack in the 16th century, and then when the Persians expanded their empire to include what is modern day Afghanistan and the Kabul area, 200 years later, in the early part of the 18th century.
Well, what's your point, though? Let's get your point.
There's been migrations all over that land for a long period of time. The Persians.
Well, you talk about Balochistan, and right now it's a tinderbox as well, Balochistan.
Yes.
So
that's exactly.
One thing we should remember. I got a couple of things to say here. One thing we should mention, and we haven't really because of this war. The Pakistan and Afghanistan are at war. We don't see that much, but they're at war. They've declared war. Pakistan and Afghanistan are fighting, and we don't know how that one's going to go. And remember that Pakistan is a nuclear power, by the way, and they've had cross-border incursions. There is all kinds of differences between the two of them. The Pashtuns dominate the Taliban, but the Pakistani Taliban and the Afghani Taliban, they're even at odds with one another. So that could really be a spark that gets out of control too. Yeah. And the other thing I would like to say, I would like to sort it out. I talked about the Tamils in Sri Lanka the other day, and I was trying to figure out when they came and started settling, and I thought it was about 1,000 or so years ago. It's much longer than that. It's about 200 BC. They started to settle in parts of Sri Lanka. It's hard to figure that out because the war between them happened so recently. War between the Tamils and the Sinhalese happened so recently. You think, but anyway, so.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Air Canada is expanding its landline luxury motor coach service to connect to Niagara and two other destinations. So this has been going for quite some time. They're adding Niagara, Sarnia, and Muskoka to their luxury motor coaches service out of Toronto Pearson Airport.
Well, the way it looks to me is they have a luxury coach service that you could go up to the Niagara District Airport here, park your car, jump in the coach, and it'll take you to Toronto. They take you to Hogtown and get on a flying hog.
Yeah.
Pigs do fly. But so basically it is a coach system, really nice one. It looks like. I don't know how much coin this is going to cost you, but you can park your car here. Let's say I want to go.
You won't know. You won't know how much it's going to cost until they start the service or close to starting the service. At the moment, they're at least 3 months away from starting this service. So we won't know until closer.
Yeah. So, but it's a convenient thing. It sounds really really good. I mean, it looks like it's going to cost a lot of coin though. It doesn't say. They call it a luxury coach
Yeah.
basically, and yeah, it's going to be nice leather seats. There's only going to be 39 chairs in it or something, so you're going to have lots of room. You know, you might not want to leave once you're in there, but you know, there it's going to be very very comfortable. You're gonna have your uh, a easy way to get to Hogtown, you know, and get on the Pearson, get at Pearson. So, but it sounds good, but I think it's more for high rollers, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. People coming into town to do more gambling or something, but I don't think this service is like, depending on the cost, of course. I don't think it's like Niagara Transit or anything like that.
No.
I think I don't understand the reason why they feel that it has to be a luxury. Who are they trying to attract? Obviously, people with more coin.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at the moment, they do 5 daily round trips out of Hamilton. Kitchener Waterloo Airport, they do 12. Muskoka, they do 2. Niagara, they're going to be doing 3. And Sarnia, they're going to be doing 2.
Well, sounds good, I guess.
Yeah.
The only one I'm, of course, thinking of is ours, right?
Yeah.
The other one's Sarnia, whatever. That's pretty cool. But the one I want to know about is the one that's here and how it will benefit us. It's part of look, that airport's got to be, you know, invested in, so it brings more people in. That's what we need here. We need more money coming into town, and if we get an airport, more money comes into town.
Yeah.
Just like when I was in Vegas a couple of times, but not to gamble, but my union had a training facility there.
Damn union congresses, eh?
Yeah. So we had a training compound there, and the reason why they picked Vegas is because Vegas is one of the most trustworthy airports around. Like, almost very little ever happens weather-wise to stop planes coming and going. It's also a very very stable outfit, and there's lots of tax reliefs or whatever. So it's like a big hotel they have there. It's the UBC has it's like a hotel. You get almost a hotel room, and then you go to your classes, and then you go and do your practical work. You go into the shops and that. And anyway, so when I was doing a course in gas turbines there, that our group had a lot of young guys in it. So the teacher, an older guy, he took everybody outside. He took everybody outside because we were close to the airport compound, right? And he showed especially for the young guys, and he sees and he points to a plane coming in, because planes were coming and going constantly. So he points at a plane coming in. See that plane there? That is a plane full of people with money, lots of money. Yeah. Then you see that plane there flying away? That's a plane full of people with no money. Right? Remember that. When you go out tonight, you remember
that. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with this particular service. Good luck to them. But obviously, it's not like Airbus, where Airbus will come and pick you up from your house.
You know, there's something special about this, which doesn't translate to me from the page as well. It is a luxury coach, obviously, for its higher end people. What it's intended to do, how this is being sort of touted as a really good way in which you can do all your stuff and get your boarding pass and everything right here in Niagara District, get on the bus, and then just go there. So I think it's a very convenient thing, but I think you're going to have the kind of pretty flush to be able to take advantage of that.
And it's only for people traveling. I'm guessing that because it's run by Air Canada or a connection with Air Canada, it's only going to be going to Terminal 1. It's only for Air Canada or their alliance partners.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What's is in connection with Air Canada, which I used to call when I did a lot of traveling back in the 80s, back and forth to Libya. We called Air Canada air delayed because it was delayed so often.
Yeah. Yeah. Rudy of Niagara Helicopters used to offer the service in helicopter to high-end travelers from Niagara Airport into 640 Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anything really else to be saying on that?
No, I just think it's fine. I would like the same service for people that don't have so much money though. To go there and let's say if you wanted to go to Hogtown and fly out of Hogtown, and you go there and just get a regular kind of Niagara Transit type
do that.
Or
you do
whatever.
that through. Come on, you do that through Niagara Airbus, don't you?
Yeah, you can do that for Niagara Airbus, but the whole package that this provides, this more luxury one, I think there should be a more working man's or middle class type.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Moving on. South Korea is seeking a peace declaration to formally end the Korean War.
I say there's more to this story than we think. There has been, of course, we know there's been a continuing state of war between South Korea and North Korea, China and the United States. China and the United States in Korea only. And there has been a state of war. They arrested hostilities with an armistice, but never formally declared a peace. I think Trump in his initial in his first term, he tried to do that. I think try to get some sort of formalized peace going. He had a few talks with Kim.
He did. Yeah.
And that never did really totally happen, though. Anyway, so here we go again. But I think there's something much more involved in here because we found that the sort of the brutal communist weirdo-rama state, they have this kind of almost like, talk about religious figures. Kim, his father, and his grandfather were almost like revealed religiously. It's kind of like a weird religion rather than a communism. But
again,
anyway,
what that is not going to change is there's still going to be a border. There's just going to be a de-escalation of arms on both sides of that border. And maybe in time there'll be a normalization, so there'll be ways to cross that border.
There's going to be no normalization until Kim is gone, his sister's gone, and his daughters are gone, or like his daughter's one's going to take over. It looks like it's a dynasty that's passed down the line.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Kim has been convinced that the Chinese communist capitalist system would be the best for his own country. He sees that in Vietnam and in China, there's a great deal of prosperity when you embrace capitalist ideology and blend it with your communist ideology. I was in China in 2007. I couldn't believe the amount of prosperity there was there. And you could see where the old part was and where the new part is. And so there was, China was getting wealthy very fast.
Yeah.
When I was in Vietnam, the communist government still runs Vietnam. I think one of the weirdest things I ever saw was when I was in Dalat, and I'm walking up a street, and there's all these little businesses because all the different families have been free to start their businesses. So there's business after business, hotels, stores, this and that. And at the top of the hill, there's a picture of Ho Chi Minh on top with a big placard in English and Vietnamese about the Communist Revolution. And I looked down the street, and everything counter to what he said is there. It's an amazing little place, Vietnam. Anyway, I think Kim realizes that, and he's probably being nudged along by the Chinese too. Look, modernize your country. Your people are starving anyway, or they got the bare minimum of stuff. So I would say just do what we did. Embrace the capitalism, but control it through our Communist Party.
Yeah.
And just copy the West like we did, but keep control of it. And that's what they've done. Unfortunately, it will never continue to work unless the West is there, because the West provides the engine of research and the engine of anti-monopolization that keeps capitalism going as well as it does. But they can feed off of that. And that's what I think is really behind this unfreezing of the old war. They want to be able to interconnect with the very successful South Korea.
Yeah.
And it could
that's what I said.
Feed a lot of prosperity to the north.
Ultimately, normalization of trade between the two nations. Ultimately, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next year, but it will happen at some point.
It says, Wheels, you should have your own show called Talking Travel. Just saying. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I am going to do a travel show, but for Mark King coming up in his radio station.
Oh, good for you. You've got a lot of travel stuff. I haven't spoken to Mark in a while, but yeah.
Well, I am really much more interested in other people's traveling than my own. I can add things like for instance, today we were talking about Vietnam and how awesome a little country it is. When I was there, they have embraced capitalism, and yet they still have placards of communism. It's just really weird. And Laos too. Laos is going that way as well. They're embracing the Chinese model of capitalist communism. It's going to work for a time, of course. It's going to improve things for the average person rather quickly, but at the same time, there's going to be a ceiling when you come up against the Communist Party. So it'll be an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
Going forward.
All right. So I don't know if there's anything else to add in that regard.
No, but I feel that ultimately I feel that the thawing of this, the means by which to get China, United States, South Korea, North Korea in the same room and finally declare peace will be a symbolic way in which a business and trade can start to pick up between North and South Korea again. And this is a way in which North Korea can begin to exploit some of the capitalistic expertise of South Korea in a manner in which China, Vietnam, and Laos is starting to do.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the last thing we've got today. Iran has outlined 3 conditions to end the war. And Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has said, basically, talking to leaders of Russia and Pakistan, I reaffirm Iran's commitment to peace in the region. The only way to end this war ignited by Zionist regime and the US is recognizing Iran's legitimate rights, payment of reparations, and firm international guarantees against future aggression.
Yeah, that's a tall order. He wants reparations. I guess in universal in court, basically, he could do that because look, I didn't start the war. We got the elephant and the baby elephant stomping all over us.
Yeah,
I like to use that analogy because it's a ridiculous a fight. It's like you bought an elephant and a baby elephant, United States and Israel, fully armed and stomping all over the place, and you got a mouse trying to fight them back. But the mouse is doing pretty good.
Better beware of the mouse analogy, because elephants are scared of mice.
That's exactly why I used it. That's why they're coming around stomping away, because they're afraid of the mouse. But they must have known that Iran, of course, being a paranoid Islamic state, had been preparing for invasion for 40 plus years. It's going to be ready for an invasion. If the United States and Israel do invade with boots on the ground, it's going to be a bloodbath. The United States is not going to. The United States likes the weekend war. The U.S. loves the weekend war. They love the short-term war with all their big bombs blowing things up. We saw what happened in Iraq. People would be celebrating and clapping and all this other stuff. But when it got down to bogging down, when boots went down to the ground and there's body bags coming home, the American population did not like that at all. And I don't blame them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a big part of, the Americans, as you said, weekend warriors. They like to be there, big bang, blow everything up. And but as soon as the body bags, no, we don't want that.
Well, they like to show off their weapons.
Never have body bags, have they, in America?
And I don't blame them. And I'm good with that, because that puts pressure on the politicians to keep their exploits, limited. Because you got to get elected. You still got to get elected in the United States. And, I don't want to send my son over there. I don't want my daughter going over there. I don't want my neighbor's son or daughter going over there, for what? So that you can get, your buddies can get a hold of the oil, So I would say that this could be a long and protracted thing. Somebody else is going to have to step in, I see, unless, like Trump says, it's going to have the war was going to be 4 to 6 weeks or something like that originally. And what they plan to do, what they have actually happening is they got planes circulating all over all the time, armed, right? When a rocket launcher shoots its rockets, within a few minutes, they could tell the location from where it comes and then send a jet there and blow up the place. And that's what they're trying to do, is trying to limit the amount of launchers and other means by which the Iranians can, fight back. And but they have the Straits of Hormuz, and it makes me really curious why they didn't figure this was going to happen, because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah,
they're going to close the Straits of Hormuz, and it doesn't seem they have a plan to deal with this.
Yeah, and
that's very curious to me. I would have thought they would have secured the Straits of Hormuz right off the bat, then gone on with the rest of it. They're probably going to invade Karg Island, which is the distribution point for Iranian oil and gas.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to do them much good, though. You're looking at things that will extend the war more and more and more, and it's got to end pretty soon. So I don't know if now the Iranians have turned it back on the U.S. The U.S. says I want to pick the leader. Trump says I want to pick the leader, and you got to unconditional surrender. Well, that ain't going to happen. It's not. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Trump did not. Trump will not be picking the next leader.
Yeah.
Even if they get to this guy or the guy after that and the guy after that, they're not going to get him. So I don't know what kind of deal he thinks he's going to be able to swing.
And of course, the other thing to remember about attacks in Iran is that so much of the country, you have to fly over so much of the country in order to get to Tehran anyway, because Tehran is a long way off in the north of the country.
Yeah, north center.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a nice city. It's kind of like LA, kind of in a bowl. Apparently, people tell me. So a lot of the exhaust fumes don't get blown out. It's similar to LA,
Well,
where
eh,
LA is kind of like in a bit of a depression, and the
yeah.
gas fumes and everything, the smog holds there for a long time. And
Well,
Tehran is similar.
yeah. But also they've got it's one of the most developed cities, of course, in that part of the world, because because the it's probably now bombed to heck, but it was one of the most developed cities in that part of the world.
Well, they have 6 or 7 thousand hits so far from the Israelis and the Americans.
Yeah,
The highest grade of ordnance, day after day after day,
yeah.
just
That's what I mean.
bombing them.
It's no longer the city it was. It's changed a heck of a lot in the last few days.
It's like two guys with a sword fighting a guy with a toothpick.
Yeah,
But the little guy with the toothpick seems to be able to jab them here and there. But definitely, I mean, it's a super one-sided military contest. But the Straits of Hormuz, and why didn't they
yeah.
think they should have secured them
Well,
ahead
that's
of
what I
time?
said to you. Isn't that what I said to you day one about the problem will be the Straits of Hormuz? Because between this is where the tankers have to slow down, and they're not going very fast anyway. Because they have to essentially go from heading southeast to heading northeast to heading southeast again. So they have to slow to make those turns.
Well, there's two channels. Like the Persian Gulf is very shallow, right? And the Straits of Hormuz, there are dredged parts of it to keep it
Yes, yes,
deep. And those
exactly.
dredged parts is a mile wide section for ships going into the Persian Gulf, and there's a mile
Exactly.
wide one beside it taken out. So that's only
Yeah.
a 2 mile stretch of navigable for big tankers and stuff like that. It makes it like pretty much shooting fish in a barrel as far as
Yeah.
the Iranians go. I
Yeah.
mean, they're
Oh, yeah.
cheap. They're $10,000 drones
But
can
this
do a
is
whole lot of damage.
yeah, where the Persian Gulf is maybe 100 to 200 miles across. The Straits of Hormuz is just like it's just like the English Channel, narrow.
Yes. But the Straits of Hormuz are very, like we said before, it's just a narrow thing, and this is the game plan the Iranians have used since the 1980s. So
Yeah,
I'm wondering why they didn't secure it. At one
yeah,
time, they
yeah,
did put ships in there to help tankers get back and forth, but so far the U.S. has not committed their ships to that.
yeah,
As a matter of fact, they've moved them farther away a bit. I don't know what the plan is here.
yeah.
They obviously knew they're going to have to get that straits opened. So I don't understand why. And I mean, when Trump says, "Well, get some guts and go through there," well, why don't you go through there? Why don't we put you on an oil tanker? Which oil tanker do you want to go on to go
Yeah,
through there,
yeah.
Mr. Trump? How about you, Hegseth? How about you, Rubio? Why don't we bring your big boat shoes on the tanker? Do you think that?
Yeah,
Oh, by the way, you think that's real? That Rubio's got these huge shoes that he has to wear because Trump gave them to him and got the size wrong? It's like a
I don't.
ridiculous thing out there now. I don't think it's
It
true,
sounds
but
ridiculous. It sounds
yeah,
ridiculous. Yeah, but
but it is funny.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So okay. So it's basically this whole thing about the Straits of Hormuz has always been, in peace. There have been a number of incidents in the Straits of Hormuz that anybody who is a military strategist should have thought, we have to deal with this problem first.
Yeah. Just as an aside,
Yeah,
this is something
Anyway,
I didn't know about Oman. I did know some part of this, but if you look at the country of Oman, because
yeah.
the Straits of Hormuz go from Iran in the north and Oman in the south, and that
And
bit of Oman, is an enclave in the United Arab Emirates. It is not contiguously attached
yeah,
to the other part of Oman,
yeah,
and as a matter of
because
fact,
it's
between the
yeah,
enclave of uh, there and the main part of Oman, there's a little wee enclave of Oman in the United Emirates, and inside that little wee enclave is a UAE enclave.
yeah, yeah,
Check it
yeah,
out; it's kind of really interesting.
yeah, and exactly. So those are the borders. There are a complex, to put it mildly, right?
Well, I just thought that was so neat. Like
Yeah,
there's an enclave within an enclave. You get
yeah,
some of that when you get there is a little Spanish enclave inside France that is outside the border that does not attach to the border, and there may be
yeah,
one other, like there's a few little of these little spots around the world. But I just thought that was kind of neat.
yeah. All right. Okay. And I think we can kind of end it there. We should end it there. We're already over time.
Okay. And have a good weekend, everybody. But I will bring up Gaza. I will bring it up every day because it's a humanitarian nightmare. And until I want journalists there, foreign journalists from all different countries, I want they don't have free journalism there. They can put a CNN guy there, a Fox guy there, but they're pulled around by the nose and showing things they want to show. CNN and Fox would report only on things they wanted to show anyway. But you need everybody else in there. You need Al Jazeera back in there. You need BBC back in there. You need CBC back there. You need independent writers has got to go back in there. Everybody's got to get back in there and check things out. The European networks. We need free journalism in Gaza. We need a real look at what's happened there, and we are pushed off terribly, and that allows the U.S. and the Israelis to control the information that comes out of there, and that's not good.
All right. And Dave?
Without further ado, I bid you adieu.
Yeah. Bye.